Mali is holding its presidential election runoff. The president is taking on a former finance minister. The first round vote was marred by allegations of fraud. And as we were saying there, voting's underway in Mali for a presidential election runoff following a first-round vote last month where there were allegations of fraud, many security concerns. President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita is widely expected to beat the former finance minister Soumaila Cissé despite an increase in militant violence during his term of office. Well, with me is BBC World Service's Africa editor Mary Harper. And Mary, I don't know whether we're hearing anything about conditions today.
Yeah, we are hearing some information. The first is that the authorities have deployed more troops than the last time because there was a lot of insecurity which prevented people from voting. So there's been extra troop deployment. We haven't heard of any violent incidents on Sunday, but on Saturday night, just on the eve of the election, the authorities said that in the capital, Bamako, they had unearthed a conspiracy to attack polling stations there. So it shows just how dangerous the situation is. But as far as the voting's going, maybe not a huge amount of enthusiasm, but so far we haven't heard of any incidents of insecurity.
So obviously we'll keep watching that. But it is the case that violence has been spreading again in recent years, and I suppose memories of what happened in 2012 are never very far away.
They're not. I mean, in 2012, Mali is this enormous country in West Africa. Much of it is desert, Sahara Desert and barren regions, and a combination of separatists, an ethnic group called the Tuaregs, they got together with jihadists, groups allied mainly to Al-Qaeda, and they, in a very, very short period of time, they took over more than half the country. So it was absolutely catastrophic. The French then led a very swift intervention, and basically with French warplanes they managed to bomb the jihadists and the Tuaregs out of that vast part of the country. But in the past few years, despite the presence of thousands of French troops, United Nations forces and regional forces and the Malian army, they have been unable to contain this threat. So you're still getting a lot of attacks, especially from the jihadists.
Do you think that is partly why you're seeing a lack of enthusiasm, as you describe it, a feeling of somewhat of despair in the country?
I think so. I mean, apart from the violence, Mali is a very poor country. There's been lots of allegations of corruption, and the incumbent, Ibrahim Boubacar Keita, has been really accused of being unable to contain especially the violence, which isn't just to do with jihadists, it's also to do with things like herders fighting with farmers because of environmental degradation. There's less land for people. But even though he is being accused of failing to deliver, he looks like the favourite. He won 40% in the first round, and the man who is fighting against him in the second round only won 17%. So lots of people are saying they predict that the incumbent will win again, despite his failings.
And just a thought about what the rival is offering that's any different, apart from that feeling of time for a change.
Yes, I mean, he's been saying that if Ibrahim Boubacar Keita is voted in again, it's just going to bring chaos to the country. He's also making allegations of corruption, not just in terms of fraud in the earlier round of the election, but just general corruption. But he's not really offering anything big and concrete for people to grab onto. So I think that might be one reason why people prefer to stay with the status quo.
Mary Harper, thanks very much for coming and talking to us about this.